guys, so today I'm just gonna go over like some basic back attack and also back positioning. That's something I get a lot of questions about, and today we're gonna look at it. So today I'm gonna start in the turtle position on my partner. So a few different ways I could get there. Maybe I sprawled out of the takedown, or maybe I was trying to pass and the guy turtle. So that's how I would end up in this type of position. So a few things. Once I'm on the back, it's really important. I never want to be too high up on my partner because that way his hips are going to be more mobile. He's going to be able to move. He can turn into me. Yeah, turn your body in. Yeah, it's going to be easier for him to turn his body into me. So whenever I'm on the turtle position, I always want to be more towards his hips, keeping his legs trapped, okay? Boom, some heavy on his hips. That way, if he starts to move, I can react faster than he can because he's holding my weight on his hips where all his movement's gonna start. Once I'm here, I typically will go for a seatbelt grip. So if my partner raises up, that means whichever side I'm on, I'm gonna have my top arm on that same side and my bottom arm is gonna go opposite and it's gonna control my top arm. So the bottom hand controlling the top hand. And I'll let you know why we do that in a little bit later. So once I'm here, I get the seatbelt grip, and I see a lot of people, they kind of go too early and they start to slip off. You know, that happens to everybody. So as I'm getting that seatbelt grip, really important, I want to bring my shoulder right over his head, and it's just going to compress his head a little bit, forcing him to roll into the position that I want. So my shoulder's here, boom. And also look at my leg. I'm gonna bring my leg, my same side leg, into the space between his elbow and his knee. And it doesn't need to be inside, I just need to be kind of in that space here. Even if he's blocking, it's okay. I bring my knee into that space, seatbelt grip, and my shoulder comes behind his head. And I just wanna shift my body up a little bit, but not too far to where I fall off. Here, now I take a back step with my free leg. I pull him over. Come a little bit closer, you know. Once I'm here, so I don't quite have the hooks in yet, and but that's okay. I have my knees on both sides of him, and I can even kind of compress his body a little bit, but I don't need to squeeze very hard. I just want to control him. I don't want to be loose here and let him just pop up. Okay, I don't really want that position to happen. So I'm going to use my legs to control him, as well as my seatbelt grip. I can be kind of loose here because I don't want to burn my arms out. But if I feel him starting to turn, then I can tighten, okay? And notice how I bring my chin down too. I'm gonna have a lot more power here versus if my body is kind of away from him, all right? So I only typically will use this position if he's trying to get away, and I tighten everything up. But normally I can be a little bit looser here, okay? Now, I'm gonna focus on opening up his arm because normally they're gonna have that leg up too, defending the hook. So I need to create space. So I open up the arm and I place my hook in. If you have trouble with that, block again, I can always kind of strip myself forward a little bit higher than him. And that's gonna help me, especially if I don't have good mobility, it's gonna help me come over the top. Now, one thing I see a lot of grapplers do, they have one hook in, and then in order to get the second hook in, they try to pull the person all the way over. But there's a few things why that won't work. One, if the person is bigger than me, I'm not going to pull them over. It's not going to happen, you know, unless you've been in the gym all day, you know, lifting. And two, this is the side where he can escape on, so I don't want to pull him over here for him to escape. You know, I'm going to help him get out of my back attack. So I'm here. I've opened him up. I place one hook in. So it's a very little move, little detail. I'm just gonna open up his hip enough to escape my leg. Boom, and I got the hook in. And typically in say like a match, that happens very fast. I want him to not expect that's gonna happen. If I do a big move, he's gonna expect something to happen. But if it's a little move where it's just so quick, he's not gonna see it coming. All right, once I'm here, we're just gonna look at one attack today, the basic rear naked choke. And there's a few ways to set it up. One way I like, and something I referenced earlier, is that my bottom hand controls my top arm. And that's because I want that bottom hand to be like the defender of my top arm. If I were to switch my grip, it'll be easier for him to grab my arm, and now I won't be able to choke very easily, okay? Versus the other way, I can use that top arm to defend my choking arm, all right? So once I'm here, I'm gonna let go my own wrist, and I'm gonna control his wrist. And notice how I control his palm, okay? I don't wanna control his wrist exactly because he can power out of that. That's kind of cool. So I hold his wrist. So now if he pushes out, I have a lot of power, okay? Very similar to a wrist lock. It's not a wrist lock, but the control is kind of the same. Once I'm here, I'm gonna use this wrist control to extend his arm and his body. And look how I place my body right behind his, okay? So I'm here, I extend his arm out, and look, I bring my body right behind his. And that seems like a little detail, but I really, whenever I'm doing the rear naked choke, I want him on his side as much as possible. If he's a little bit too on me, the angle of the choke is not gonna be good. You know, I might get it, but he might get out. So I don't deal in halves. I wanna do like, 99%. All right, so again, control the wrist. I push him forward, and I bring my chest right behind him. If I have trouble with that, I can use that same side arm to kind of push him even more. All right, once I'm here, I'm gonna immediately bring my choking hand. It's gonna come with the fingers behind his shoulder. And that way, even if he tries to pull my arm off, it won't come off. But if I'm a little bit too high, boom, I'm back into that position where he can control my choking arm. So once I'm on his back, I can push him away, and I bring this tight, okay? Now I'm gonna get the rear naked choke. A lot of guys, they just leave that arm out to get grabbed. Go ahead and grab, yeah. And that thing is, they can even do an arm bar here too sometimes, So just to protect yourself, you don't wanna leave that arm out. I wanna do it kind of behind his head, behind his blind spot. So there's two ways I can grab my bicep and then place the back of my hand behind his head, one, or I can just slide it in. And that's just preference, okay? And then as far as finishing the choke, it's very simple. I'm gonna bring my elbows together as I squeeze, okay? A lot of people, they kind of pull their arms apart while they're choking, and that's just gonna lessen the choke. So whenever I'm choking, I wanna be tight with my whole body, squeezing, all right? And notice how my elbows come closer and closer and closer as I squeeze. All right, guys, and one thing with the choke, chokes don't happen like immediately. I need to hold the choke, okay? Don't just do one burst of energy and then let go of the choke. I need to maintain the pressure of the choke until the person taps out, all right? So hopefully this technique helps you guys. Until next time, peace out, ciao.